Let's dive right into it and say welcome back to Lazlos Leap. This is day 2. We got a little bit more than halfway to go. Let's start that timer up. I'm Flat Plat. Emily was a pre-existing file on the same cartridge that I purchased. I think she made it to 1 level and then that was it. So go ahead and click on this sucker. Yeah, so I got through 44 stages so far. Just 55 more to go. Par is not necessary for me. The most important thing that's close. Yeah, it's like not a bad first start though. Yeah, the most important thing to me is just finishing the puzzles. This is a par 5. That was an interesting move, though. Feel like huh. Thinking on this one, and I'm not sure if I'm thinking right. Nope, that leads me exactly where I was before. Welcome, this one Twitches. How are ya? I know what you're gonna say, but just in case you want to do a legitimate vote for a future game, there's the forum where you can do it. It is not Tetris. I think I have, what, 2 more Tetrises to go? And then also Hatris and Wordtris. I have Tetris Attack and Tetris Blast? I think those are next. Or, not next, but, you know, those are remaining. Is it better to do something like this? It's not better to do something like that. So at some point, I'm not going to have another puzzle game for a few more games. This is my 2nd puzzle game in a row as well. So thankfully I'll be free of those for a tiny bit. If I do this. There we go. Okay, so I can do that. And then I can push this guy over here and jump the bin. Haha! I made it! So how are you doing this fine evening? Let's see here. R6. I feel like I probably could do That's probably not a good idea. Driving through Mississippi. You going to visit family or just taking a vacation? Well, that's pretty close to what I need to do, possibly. It's just sort of like do like a nice little chain reaction at the top there. So if I go here. Then what do I do? Do I do... Aha, yes. Do this. I think I could do this in par. That's why I'm sort of free doing this move. So there's 3, and then that's 4, 5, and 6. Wifey's family. Okay. Headed to Atlanta to break up the trip, leaving Wednesday for Snowhio. Snowhio, Ohio's not the snowy part right now. Where was it? It was like one of the Dakotas or something is getting snow this moment. Still in like May. We're gonna jump 30 degrees this weekend from 50 something to 80 something. So how are you feeling now that your podcast is done? Does it feel like it's going to be something of a what do I do with my time situation? Or is it oh good, now I can finally use my time situation? I think I might have... Oh no, this is perfect, actually. A little over par, but that's fine. Mini sodas, too. That's closer... That's probably going to be closer to snow territory. So you probably just started your journey then. You're like, first day... Needed the time to get things done. Yeah. That's a struggle for sure. I still have a lot of... I've been trying to like get our podcast going a bit better. And it's tough. It can be difficult. What do I do here? We, for our podcast, we've been already, like, you know, sort of thinking about, like, what's the best way to wind down. You know, because we're not going to do it forever, of course. But we don't want to... We want to cover as many of the big things as we can, so it's like... Yeah. Trying to think about all that kind of fun stuff. But I think it's also like a matter of like, okay, well, if we start to grow a bit more and people start to respond to us, then maybe we will keep it. I don't know. It's like it's this weird limbo situation where we're at. So we just did our 60th episode today of the podcast, and we're so niche that, you know, it's tough to find like a good audience. But the people who have found us seem to like it. So it's an interesting thing that we're dealing with. This was like the weirdest way to go about this whole thing. Let's see if I can do... Well, that kind of sucks. Now I have a whole bunch of stuff. Welcome, Nedson. Finish most of your room, set up the TV in a better position, moved a heavy burrow. Still need to vacuum, finish the bed. You found a Sega Genesis Model 2 you forgot about buying in a box as well. Well, see, that's the benefits of cleaning up. There's all kinds of stuff that is lurking in boxes. I probably have the same type of thing. I have, like, several systems that I need to get rid of. I have some Genesis that somehow I acquired. I think it was from like an old friend. Doesn't have any of the hookups. So, I mean, I could definitely sell that for parts, and it's just been sitting there for a long time. Oh yeah, I don't have any Discord in this one. I have a Discord name technically, but I have not logged into it in years. One of the other Game Boy challengers invited me to do, you know, to join his Discord or whatever, and like, yeah, I guess so. And then I just never did it because another social media platform, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, ugh, it's too much. Looking into these early on. Oh, you may buy a 32X in a couple months as well. Yeah, that's another thing I need to sell. I have one with the box. It's not new, but I have the original box. Probably some of the original paperwork, probably not everything. I want to sell my Saturn. I have an extra N64. I have a Wii from my wife's parents. Just taking up room. And I need, you know, I just need to find the time to take pictures and all that kind of stuff. And hey, first time we get to see the cutscene tonight. Maybe it's like every 4 levels. Anyway. I did not go to the conference I was talking about. My body did not feel up to it. I had not purchased tickets or anything yet, so it's not like it cost me money, so. I think if I do this, then I could do this and come around here. Now the big question is, yeah, it's the same basic thing. Just go around the horn. And through the window we go. Yeah, I'll definitely try to sell the 32X at some point. Just a matter of when. Like, when can I get my act together to do it? In fact, you know, just all kinds of random stuff going on. And as I was talking to this one Twitches, I'm not sure if he's still around. You know, just, yeah, like he knows podcast stuff takes up a lot of time. He just finished up his podcast. We just hit episode 60 of ours, and you know, it's a commitment. Makes doing like simple things like cleaning up house a little bit tougher at times. Should I do? That's a bad move. That's a very bad move. Didn't get a look at my first right there. Hope to go to PAX East next year. I just hope to go to some sort of video game convention where I can buy a bunch of Game Boy games cheap. Like, I want to get a bunch of, you know, the sports games and the shitty overproduced platformers for like a couple bucks each. And that's not easy to do on eBay right now. You know, if you try to buy them singularly, you're going to be spending like over $5, and a lot of them they're not worth that much to me. So I'd rather buy them in bulk. So, and then you can try to find Game Boy lots on eBay, but that's a crapshoot too. Look now, I'm like, I don't know, something's either clicking in my brain or I'm just getting lucky with these random jumps that I'm doing here. So, I mean, there's a lot of like super common games that I just do not have, even though I bought like multiple, you know, 100 game lots off of eBay just to get like 10 that I want. And things like that. So I'm hoping I can find like a good like clearance bin at a convention and then just really boost my collection overall, and then pick up the more expensive ones that are like 10 to however X dollars now, like $200 off eBay here and there. It's not a bad idea doing the spending moratorium for games. Yeah, since you bought the laptop, that's true. Yeah. I am not on a moratorium. What if I... I did something wrong here. Do that? There we go. Yeah, I'm trying to decide. Like, I do want to maybe try to purchase a couple things on eBay because I did not go to that convention. But it's like one of those things where I go searching and I see how things are so overly priced compared to how it was before the pandemic, and it's just, it makes me not want to spend a dime. You know, seeing something like Sword of Hope, which used to be a $15 game all day long, is now $100 most of the time on auction. It's like, fuck me. Like, I want to buy more stuff and, you know, have better options on these polls and whatnot, and then it's just, it's deflating. I don't want to... I don't want to give in to that price. Even though I know I'm probably going to have to at some point. It's wrong. I probably need to clear out this stuff first. Spent $25 yesterday to buy 2 copies of the Japanese Tetris 1.0 in excellent condition. Yeah, that sounds... I know very little about the Tetris 1.0. I think you had mentioned it once before, and then I saw somewhere else about how uncommon and you know, unique that piece is, and so yeah, that sounds like a good deal for sure. Oh yeah, Steam Summer Sale is also one of those things where it's, you know, maybe I'll buy a gift card and just spend however much money is on the gift card for it. But I also have over 100 Steam games, and I don't know, I've maybe finished like 5 ever in my life, so it's another one of those things where I feel like I need to focus on what I have a lot more. If I... No, that's just gonna give me opposite corners again. Yeah, the 1.0 is the version with the different music and some other changes, yeah. Welcome, Bread Bun Bun, how are you? Yeah, unfinished Steam games, You know, at some point, I keep on thinking, like, okay, maybe I'll have a whole bunch of plans for, like, late night streams where I can do Steam games and set up other consoles and play non-Game Boy stuff on the later hours of the night. And so, like, a lot of the Steam games I have, I bought, like, through Humble Bundles. And I'm like, these would be fun to play on stream at some point if I can ever get my act together. And so maybe I'll do that at some point. I don't know. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just complain about it. Either or. Hopefully you're doing well. Want Elden Ring for PC? If I I definitely would not get a game like that on PC. I feel like I would probably just get it on PS5 if I ever get a PS5. If I'm gonna play it with the console controller, which I would in that particular instance, then I'm gonna just get it for a console. I don't care about the slight potential improvement in graphical options. This is an interesting setup now. Did I figure out the problem with that thing last week? I don't remember what that's referring to anymore. My memory is kind of bad. So let's say... Well, that seems like it's close to what I can do. So let's say no, I did not. Just because I don't know for sure. Exactly the same crap. Just keep going back. Yeah, the odds of me figuring anything out are always low. Especially these puzzle games. Why did I do that? I don't know. That's definitely wrong. Oh, the links and the timeouts. Yes, I think I did. So, I think I did. It's not going to work for everybody, but you should not be facing that issue specifically. There's like another tier in MooBot or whatever that allows you to assign people as like regulars. And then there's different permissions you can give regulars and subscribers. So since I don't have like subscribers yet, and you know, followers is kind of like too broad, whatever. So yeah, long story short, hopefully if you try to type something in now that's like a fake link or even a real link, then maybe the message will be removed, but you should not be like timed out or anything like that anymore. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I did play around with that. So now, as in terms of my system, you're considered to be a regular, which gives me the ability to give you different permissions, different access, whatever. Well, that's a nice little thing there. I'm still in the same situation where like no matter what I do, I'm going to have these things on the opposite corners. That's the part I'm not able to get away from. That could be good, maybe, if I can, like, keep this guy here. There we go. I didn't recognize the full path at the end there either. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to be stuck with two opposites again. Yeah, you can try a quick test, for sure. Again, I don't remember how I set it up to react. If it just, it might just erase the message, but again, you should not be, like, timed out or penalized, I don't think. And I don't think there's really all that much in terms of, like, spam commenting and people posting links randomly into people's chats anymore, the way it was happening like 6 months ago. That was a big problem for a little while, and I don't think it's really that much of a thing anymore. This is a par 9. Kind of worries me that it's a par 9. It's close, close. Yeah, so just the link, and then you would not be timed out. Okay, so that's how I have it set up yet. Yeah, I'm still not 100% sure about links. It's probably safer to do than I'm making it out to be. What do I want to do with this? You say nope to me making the move, or nope to me allowing links. Both are probably true. Ugh. Just centralize everything. I'll get there. Nope to not being timed out. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to decide. I mean, I'm such a small potatoes thing as well. Like, it kind of really doesn't matter too much. And all the people who are in here are going to be smart enough not to click on links that are from randos. So... Alright, so that sets up something. I mean, that ruins the something I set up. Alright, well, I've had some good luck with these levels up until now. Now there's like a thing where I'm not really seeing the best path forward to clear these suckers yet. I feel like that's probably a bad thing. Yeah, that just gives me opposite corners there. No, it's not supposed to be a bird, it's supposed to be a pivot. Whatever that means. I mean, some of the layouts have looked like what the title is. I mean, do they mean like a top? Like this is like the top, you know, the needle of the top, and then here it's all pivoting on this little center thing, and then here's the top. Like maybe that's what they mean by pivot. But yeah, I mean, obviously it should just be called bird or umbrella or something. Oh goodness. I feel like this is... What am I doing? I don't even know anymore. Just trying random stuff. I can get it down to 2 in a couple different ways. Just push everything over, huh? Same shit. Just, for some reason, I feel like the answer is going to be like taking one of these things and moving it backwards. It just doesn't feel like it should be. Like that feels like it's regressing, but it might not end up being that way. I mean, that puts me in a nice little area here. Like, I would love to keep that, you know, sort of as is. Is that going to be possible in any way? Forward. No, I don't think that's it. So if I move all of these in, nope. I still might. I still feel like, yeah, like moving all these in is not a terrible first idea. But it's, you know, it's gonna be like what I do with that afterwards. It's going to be the problem. So I clearly need to have something there, which means I can't. There we go. That's what it is. Alright, I'm starting to work backwards a little bit. Hey, there's 4 of them blueberries. Alone. So we have to get him to make friends. This is a sixer. I need to find a way to... like, these are kind of a problem, these side ones. Ha! No longer a problem. Like that particular move was one where I didn't really plan that ahead of time. I just kept on seeing additional jumps I could keep making, and then it just happened to be the right thing. See, this is Shell, but it's probably really closer to the McDonald's logo, if anything. Or Space Invaders. I mean, it's kind of crab-like, so I guess it could be a shell. It'd be like a crab shell. So... close, but not quite. Cause so basically I can't do the full parallel. So if I do this, then I'm like where I need to be. I'm like that puts me in a position. I don't like that. It's really kind of nowhere for me to go there. Okay, now I think I'm in better shape. Well, shit, no I'm not. Let's get this over here first. I can... jump that, jump this. No. So if I do that, and I do this, I'm in the same boat. Okay, so not quite there. That's, in essence, the exact same thing I just did, except just faster. Yeah, I think Space Invader Alien is probably the best way to describe this one. Alright, what if I'm doing this slightly wrong? What if I need to go down instead of keep everything up? Not quite. I feel like I'm very, very close with this. It's, just a matter of like sequence, perhaps. Maybe not. I'm just trying to think like, okay, what are the ones that can actually be in position at some point? Like this center one could go over here. It's these little things right here. Like this is where it needs to be, right? So that one can go any of those spots. This guy could eventually be there too with a couple jumps, maybe. Actually, no, it can't, can it? Okay, so that's actually interesting. That actually helps me. I didn't make that connection, and I'm halfway through the damn game already. Some of these guys just are never going to land in the appropriate spot to allow for a winning move. Because you have to basically land in either this spot, this, or this. And it looks like the only ones that will ever actually make that path forward is this guy right here, this one in the center. So he will be jumping over something. Just a matter of when. Oh, okay. That also means I can't jump this guy because then I'll be stuck and I won't have a winning move. Right, so that one definitely is not jumping over. I keep getting the same ending move. Which tells me I need to change up my approach slightly. If I do something that's like not so... Right. I feel like, you know, doing something like that is bad. There's no way that would work. Yeah, because everything just gets stuck over there. So... I mean, there's fewer moves I can make overall. Is there a way? Have I tried this where I do like parallel above? I think I have. Yeah, it just leads to that. So parallel paths are also not right. Hey Riku, how are you? I've just hit over the halfway mark on this game. I've been doing this for about an hour and I've completed about 10 levels, which is not terrible. I don't remember who's voted or not. And Red Bun Bun, I don't know if you're still in the chat. Anyone who's in the chat or even lurking is eligible to vote for the new poll that is live. So feel free to do so while you watch me move these blueberries about. I know, it kind of makes me want pancakes. I do. Definitely not. Definitely not. Almost 5 a.m. Ugh. It's almost 9 here. So I'll be going for probably another hour. I got a little bit of a late start. I mean, that just can't be right. Because then if I do that, then I ruin my move over here, and then there's no way to get enough stuff over back here to... So definitely don't move that sucker this way. Maybe move it over here. Not seeing the trick yet. I mean, these have to go this way, right? Like, there's no way that I can... So I know those have to go up that way. I mean, maybe have to is a strong word, but it sure feels like it has to. And then if I want that back out, then I have to go up here, grab that. This goes up here. This all feels like stuff I've done. Ooh. It's a puzzle. Keep running the same stupid stuff over and over again. What can I do different? What should I do different? I've had that situation here too. I feel like the problem is that won't work. If I do something like this, then I jump over the key piece, and then that also doesn't work. There's certainly a path that I'm not seeing. That also seems like it's a problem for me. Like, if I almost feel like I need to find a way to get a marble down here so I can jump over it and then set up the jump back. How do I do that, though? No, that doesn't do it either. So sending it back down is probably not the right move. So then... up, I guess? Just keep that up? Question is, like, when do I utilize that up? Is that the right time just now? Ah, it's close. Okay. It does seem like up is the right way to go with that. The big question is, what do I do next? One of those like this. I can move one of these like this, perhaps. Go over here. Maybe I make those moves without moving this guy to start. Sort of, right? Like, okay, so I go... You go down there. You go down here. You go over. No, that's the exact same kind of shit I was in before. I... Throw you down there, throw you down here. Just traps me over on the left-hand side. Is that the thing? Like I use this and then like sort of hop back and forth to clear out a couple of these other things? That could maybe work if I do this properly. Right, and then I can like bring you over here. Maybe like jump you twice. And now... Not quite, but whatever, at least I got it. It's a tough one. That was a tough one. I don't think that these, I don't think these cutscenes go beyond 4 marbles, or whatever you want to call them. Christmas! Not even close on that one. Okay, so that's sort of the setup. I just need to, do I need... I can't keep that one there. This one I probably need to keep somewhere. Or throw this guy over here. And keep him. I should be able to sort of like circle around the board once I figure out what the heck I'm doing. I mean, I could do this to circle around the board a little bit. Ah, I did it. So this is Angel. I guess that's a wing from a side profile. I don't think this is it. Oh. Oh, I was just talking about that earlier tonight, actually. I was supposed to go to a video game convention this weekend, but my body, I've been having like hip and back issues for several months, so I decided not to go. So right now the answer is no. I haven't bought any new games recently. But I was thinking about buying some stuff off of eBay to kind of use a little bit of the money I was going to spend at the convention. But, oh, prices are just so much higher than what I'm used to that it's tough to make that commitment. That's where I'm going wrong right now. That's close. That was a close one. So I might pick up a couple here and there, but nothing. I wanted to buy a whole bunch of games on bulk discount, you know, like just bargain bin. Just get a huge... Prices are just really bad right now. Especially with like RPGs. And I need a lot of RPGs. Oh, that's close to what I needed to do. I've heard both ways, actually. Like, I think convention prices can sometimes be lower than eBay. It really depends on the seller, and then some of them will actually be higher than eBay because of the convenience of being there and being able to inspect it and just take it home immediately, that they price it higher than eBay and still get away with it. Probably not as much with Game Boy, except for, you know, the highest value titles like Kid Dracula or Jimmy Connor's Tennis or something like that. But, you know, if I'm buying sports games and Animaniacs and Frogger or Centipede, stuff like those types of things that I'm trying to use to fill out my convention collection, those should be lower than eBay for sure. And that's what I was really hoping to pick up, is a lot of that stuff. No luck this time. And there are still some deals to be had. I pick up a couple games here and there. I don't look as often as I used to, just because the prices are so high. But every once in a while, I'll still find a game that's pretty much within the same range as what it was pre-pandemic, and so I go ahead and buy it off offline and that's not the right way to do it either. Symmetry sometimes works on these and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, this convention was a little bit more than an hour away. I think it's been going on for several years, and I just have never made it out. Like one year I bought the ticket and everything, and then there was a massive snow blizzard, which was unusual for the season because it was in April. And normally it doesn't snow much in April, let alone have, 12 inches of snow blizzard on the day that I was going to go to the convention. So I didn't go. And then I think the next year was pandemic times. And so this is the first opportunity that I really had to do it. And it's just, yeah, my body is basically telling me, no. Don't even think about it right now. So it's an unusual thing. And I don't have, I mean, I'm in Chicago, Illinois, which is a major city, obviously in the US, and there really are not very many game stores in Chicago. There are in, Seattle area and the West Coast. Some other smaller towns have them, but there are not very many options for games. Game stores in Chicago itself. So I just don't, and I don't really want to drive 30-40 minutes to a random store just to find out all their stuff is way overpriced and annoying, and then I've wasted a whole day practically. And so I'd rather just go on eBay and hope that I can wait out whatever this market is. If I... there we go. 1 over par. That's fine. I'm surprised too, honestly. There was a really good one that wasn't that far away, but it closed down a few years ago because the owner of the building basically said, yeah, we don't want to rent out to the store anymore. And so it was the best place to go and the prices were reasonable. And they just got shut down, not because they were doing poorly, but because the building management decided, nope, we're done with renting out this space to you. So, and they never moved to a different location. They just kind of said, okay, well, that's it for us. They didn't try to find a new space or anything, which is weird, but they didn't. Yeah, and I don't envy you at all, Reku, with the whole international shipping side of things. That's got to be really tough. I just sent I also deal with baseball cards, collecting those, and I just sold something to a guy in Canada. If I were to send it in a normal envelope, like you would send in a letter, it would be $1.50 or so. But it was thicker than normal. He paid for the $1.50 shipping because the way I have it set up on the site is if you buy a single card, then you pay the envelope price. It was too thick for an envelope, and it bumps it up to $15. So that's like the next highest price is either like $1.50, or if it's too thick, then it's $15 is the cheapest you can possibly do. Yeah, sometimes you can get free shipping, but usually not international. Unless, like, sometimes there's like an international hub that eBay utilizes, and so sometimes some of the sellers will be good enough about that. So thankfully, whatever that guy bought, I could cover the cost of shipping because it was actually a $30 card that he bought from me. And so, my profit margin is way lower than it was going to be, but that's okay. It's still getting to him. If it was like a $2 card or something like that, then I'd just have to cancel the sale and let him know, hey, sorry, guy, like, it's just not... I can't do this. It doesn't work. I'm gonna be losing like $20 on the sale. This is... Alright, so I've learned that that's the wrong way. Um, I don't use I call it COMC. I know a lot of people say COMC. Check out my cards. I use that to buy. I don't use it to sell. One of the other guys that frequents the chat in here, he was here like really early in the evening. This one Twitches, works for COMC. I know him through baseball card Twitter. I love the site. It's a good resource. I just don't want to. I don't want to send them anything, and I haven't gotten involved in the selling side of things. But it's a really cool thing, and I hope they do expand to other areas like video games and whatnot. I think that could be kind of cool. Yeah, I need to like find a good hub of game stores and see what's going on. Game store in your local mall did close down, so you have to ride the bus to the next game store. I mean, but you know, as long as you know it's a good game store, that's kind of worth it. I think I was really close on that one, and I just messed it up. Well, there you go. Does it have Philips CDI games? Because that's another thing I want to collect, and that's really difficult to do on eBay. Especially since I'm trying to find the US versions of the games most of the time. I can find some sellers in the Netherlands, since it was very prominent over there. But I want to find the North American releases, not the ones that have the PEGI rating or whatever rating might have been used at that time, I forget. Do you deal with sports cards too, Reku? Or I guess they'd also have non-sports on there. Obviously, I haven't had to deal with international shipping with them either. They've gotten a lot better in terms of shipping times. Obviously, I know that they were really overloaded at one point. They just had too many orders when the card market really boomed there for a second. Made it tougher. If I do... I'm just kind of seeing what the lay of the land is on this. Oh, that's like perfect, okay. Well, over par, but I got it on first try. Yeah, and everything I buy, since I'm not selling it, I'm not trying to flip it, it's... Everything I buy on COMC is for my own personal collection, so... You know, I'm okay with holding it for a while. I just bought a few things from the spring sale. I basically, you know, I sell on this other site called Sport Lots. And so I use like the credit from Sport Lots and transfer the funds and then use that to buy on other sites as well. So it's, you know, self-sustaining hobby for the most part. I think we did talk about this before. You do get some hockey cards. Yeah, not a sport I've explored hobby-wise. That doesn't work. Texas. Okay, I can see Texas. Sure, I'll allow them to call that Texas. That was not the right way to go. Yeah, I'm all baseball in terms of sports. I do. Well, that's not 100% true. I have a very limited basketball collection that's focused on one specific year. I do some 1995 basketball cards because I started this project in 1995, and so I'm still working on that sporadically as we speak. And then there's like one set from 2011 that I also collect. But that's it. Uh, okay, that'll work. Several over par. But as long as it gets done, it gets done. Yeah, it is kind of weird that they have Texas in a Japanese puzzle game. I never even thought about that. I don't see the kick in this. Like maybe you consider this like a sneaker or a shoe, and like maybe like if this is a cleat. But no, I don't see it. But yeah, sports cards wise, I'm all baseball. I do collect Garbage Pail Kids as well. That's another thing that sort of carries over from my childhood. It's been fun to see the newer stuff that they put out for that. How should I go about this? No, that was fine before. Okay. Not quite there. Oh, someone kicking a ball? Hmm. It's like a magic eye thing. Like this kind of looks like a ball, but this doesn't look like a kick. I think I said before that sometimes I think like maybe these are kanji or katakana representations, and maybe that's why I'm not seeing it. This is a bad idea. Par 5. So if it's par 5, then I must be going like around a lot of spaces at some point. I feel like this is exactly where I was before, right? Only a little over par. Septuple bogey. I gotta keep a closer eye on the time. And this is another one where, okay, well, swallow, I guess, yeah, you got the bird and the wings. But to me, it kind of looks like a dagger. You know, like here's a small handle or like a sai or something. Hmm. It's gonna be an interesting adventure getting these out of there. So I could do. No. An interesting variation of this puzzle might be to have, you know, a starting pattern and then just convert it to a different pattern. That could be its own game, in a way. I feel like that's right on the edge of what I need to do. Maybe I need to focus on getting some of these out of here too. There's that. Nope, it's still not enough. What's that noise? Garbage email, got it. Not quite there. Most expensive car that I've sold. So, it's one that a lot of people probably wish, or, you know, a lot of people wish they had right now. And if I had it right now, it'd probably be worth at least 10 times what I sold it for, if not more. To help pay for my wedding about 10 plus years ago, I sold this Kobe Bryant second year Skybox Star Rubies card, which is numbered out of 50. I pulled it out of a pack back in the day, and I sold it for... What was the final price? I want to say something like $2,800, which, you know, was huge and went a long ways towards paying for a lot of wedding stuff, so I definitely don't regret it. But um, yeah, if I still had that card right now, I would not be surprised if it was 10 to 100 times the price of what I sold it for 10 years ago. But such is life. Like I said, really hard to regret something like that, considering what it was used for. Boy, this one was close. I almost had. Yeah, you never know which ones will rise, and that was also, you know, the price guides, Beckett, and all that kind of stuff. They don't get updated all that often, especially with the rare cards that are numbered lower. And so the book value for that was somewhere like $400 or $700 when I sold it. And you know, I was just trying to think of ways to make a little bit extra money. Is there stuff around the house I could possibly sell? And that came to mind. I'm like, okay, well, you know, if I get $500, that would be great. And it went, yeah, it went for a lot of money. A surprising amount of money. So I'm like, hey, you know, can't be mad at that. I don't know how to get these guys. I don't know how to get the leftmost and the rightmost out of here. Alright, Nenson, have a good night. Yeah, I'm not a big wheeler and dealer. I deal mostly in low-end stuff. But I buy boxes and I occasionally hit some okay stuff. But, you know, a 4-digit price is really rare for me. Like, that's... I think that's the only card that I sold for over 4 digits. And I don't buy stuff for that amount of money either. It's just not, like, not what I'm interested in. Well, I won't say that. There are definitely some cards that I do want that are worth 4 digits. I'm just not willing to spend that at this time. That's the better way to say that. How do I get this to work in my favor? How do I get both of these guys? Oh. I don't know, what's the most you've ever spent on a hockey card so far? Do you mostly chase individual sets? I forget what you said with that before. Okay, so that allows me to get over here and get that guy out of here. Oh. Not quite. Yeah, I don't collect graded cards either. I don't grade cards myself, so that's probably one that I would have graded if I kept it. Because it, you know, it did look good. I don't know much about grading. I don't know how to look for flaws in the same way, so you know, maybe it would have graded low, but I mean, for a second year Kobe Bryant out of 50, like, Star Rubies is a very highly sought after thing. So I have a feeling it would have been worth more than the 2600, even if I, you know, even if it would have graded a bit lower. Man, I hate this thing. I feel like I should be able to Can't believe I'm not... That's exactly the same thing. But yeah, I don't collect graded cards either. I'm sure there's going to come time when I have to create, you know, for some of my player collections, I'm sure there's going to be some cards where the only option is graded. But I'm just not willing to take the plunge and pay a premium for those things. It's way too subjective. And people, you know, they can resubmit cards all the time and get different grades, and it's just... It definitely seems like a scam for the most part. The whole grading thing. Yeah, that's the way to do it. You know, if I have a bunch of money to spend on cards, I'm going to try to go for quantity every single time. Like, I always, if I'm at a card show, then I'm hitting the dollar boxes, I'm hitting the quarter boxes, and I focus on that stuff first, and then I go around to the different tables, and I'm looking at, you know, are there any, like, $5 cards? And I just keep going up in price and whatever. But 150 for rookie patch auto, that's probably, you know, that's probably about where I am too in my max. I don't know if I've actually hit 150. I've come very close if I haven't. But that's about my max right now. There's really only a couple cards I can think of that are on my radar that I'd be willing to spend more than that right now. But I collect like Greg Maddux and Frank Thomas and Tony Gwynn, and so their autographs can get pretty expensive at times, but I usually don't go too much more than $100 the most. And a lot of them I can still get for under that. So again, if I have $100 to spend on a card, I'm gonna try to get multiples instead of just the one, unless it's something that kind of just jumps out and speaks to me. Yeah, that's the way to do it. You know, if sometimes it just makes sense to do it. You know, and sometimes. This way. That didn't matter. That didn't matter. Yeah, having that like personal connection to it does add that value. It makes sense. I am in a very difficult position with this level. No way to get over. Okay. There's some sort of like opening trick that I'm missing on this one. What if I go down? That sounds like a really bad idea. To put things farther away from the center when I'm having such a hard time getting things to the center here. It's not it. I'm trying to get everything over to the left. Let's try that type of approach where I just just move everything over here somehow. Either. I feel like that has to be a bad idea, because it almost feels like it's necessary to use the centerpiece to grab one of those guys from the left. And then the big question is, do I go up or down? Oh, how? I actually don't watch a whole lot of baseball now. Mostly because of time. My wife doesn't like sports all that much. And so when I have the TV to myself, I could watch sports, or I could be playing a game, or I could be working on some other project. And so, like, if we're watching something together, it's definitely not going to be baseball. And usually, I have like a pile of stuff that I want to watch on streaming services by myself, or that she isn't interested in, or on my DVR recorded from cable TV. And so I'll go through that backlog, or I'll play a game rather than focus on watching a sport that will take a long time. So I'll follow it on the sidelines, but I don't really I'm not actively watching it most of the time. That's where I think I just went wrong. Doing those moves. If I do this... and that's better? Clearly that's wrong. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I think if the team that I root for, which is the Cubs, I guess, they've had some issues. They got rid of a lot of important players last year, so they're less important to me. But if they make the playoffs, then I'll be more likely to watch. I'm stuck on another one. Hopefully I can get this done in the next 10 minutes or so. I feel like I'm not anywhere close to this. It's good. Oh, you started watching some baseball during the pandemic? Yeah, the Cubs, they're probably one of the more famous ones in terms of their struggles with the 108-year drought between championships. And that ended in 2016, which was a really fascinating year. Honestly, a lot of American people who watch baseball, they may know the team names, but a lot of the players on those teams are not well known. This could be an option for me. about it like this. Ah, it feels like it's so close. Okay, hold on. Yeah, there was a big thing about how they were cursed for a long time. And they came really close several times, like in 2007 and 2008, they had a really good chance. 2003, it's another good year. And they just always had things go wrong that shouldn't have gone wrong. Or, you know, a lot of people think probably should not have gone wrong. And so they got labeled as cursed. Gosh. Oh, that's interesting. Paul O'Neill especially is a weird one to know. He was not really a superstar. He was a good player in the 80s. But he wasn't a household name or anything. So Ozzie Smith played most of his career for the St. Louis Cardinals, which is the main rival of the Chicago Cubs. And then Paul O'Neill, I think, played only for the Yankees? Oh, familiar from Seinfeld. Okay. Yeah, he played for the Yankees. I can make a lot of jumps, but I just don't know the right way to go. And Keith Hernandez, he was a Met, New York Met. So there's two teams in the New York area, Yankees and Mets. Same thing for Chicago. There's two teams in Chicago. We have the Cubs and the White Sox. And usually there's a rivalry between those teams as well. How the heck do I do this one? I'm gonna have to stop pretty soon. Like, I usually have to stop pretty much very close to 10. There's no way that's right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if you watch The Simpsons, you'll also might know several players from that classic 90s episode that they did. Where Mr. Burns formed the softball team. And they brought in a lot of, you know, actual professional players. I'm good at getting that crap to happen. I need to find a way to get this out of here. What if I just straight up... Yeah, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Ugh. What the heck am I supposed to do on this one? Me? I'm having some trouble. Okay. How do I get all these things from the sides out of here? That's not going to work either, because... I also want to see the solution before I go to sleep. um... I feel like I'm doing the exact same thing over and over again. See, I feel like I have a good start of what to do, and then it goes away. Because I can't get every side cleared out. Do I get rid of both of these? Uh... Ugh. It didn't look like it was a terrible idea. Okay, so if I get rid of that, I can put this over here. Maybe even go over here with this. I can take this guy over here. God, this feels like it's so close. Okay. There we go. Ah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do the same thing over and over again, and hope that you either magically come across this different outcome, or just, or you happen to notice something slightly different near the tail end. So there we go. So tonight I did levels 44 through, oh wait, no, 45 through 62. I should be back tomorrow. If anyone happens to be around, let me go ahead and I'll stop the timer here. I should be back tomorrow to try some more. I doubt I'll finish it tomorrow, but I also think I'm going to be streaming on Wednesday. So I should be done with this game this week, if all goes according to plan. So, yeah, thank you very much for stopping by and chatting as always. Greatly appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you real soon.